welcome to Triple T Thursday. That's tips, tricks, tutorials. I am your host, Shelly Saves the Day, and I'm very excited. I'm excited to be here with you today because we're going to be talking about a topic that might be a bit spicy for some folks out there. And you know how much I love to tell people they're doing stuff wrong. I was thinking about this today and I was like, yes, it just feels like one of those moments where I'm just going to say what I want to say. And I had notes, don't have them with me at this moment. So I'll try and sketch something out real quick. Let's see how we do with that. Let me pull up some notes here. Hi, how are ya? Good to see everybody. Anyone who's out there, thanks for popping in. I appreciate you and your time. We're here every Thursday. And if I hit the button, do you think it's actually going to work this time like it's supposed to? Shall we try it? Shall we try it? You can like, subscribe, follow along. Yes, ring that bell. And this is the one that usually doesn't work. Should we try this one? Oh, look, why is it so babyish? Why are you so little? There it is. Look, it was just minimized. It was tiny. Oh, maybe we're going to have to do it again. Maybe that's, it worked. Can we try it again? If I hit it again in the same scene, will it work? No. What if I do this one? Okay. And then I come back to this one. There it is. There it is. There we go. I'm going to say hello to the chat, Pixelpia, and of course, the ever important question, of course, how dare I not ask it? It's what's in your cup? And, oh, my cup is right over there. Can we hold for 5 seconds while I get my cup so I can show you what is also in my cup? 1 second, 1 second. Hold on. Told you it wouldn't take very long. All right, so today in my cup, can you hear that, by the way? It's the ice AMR. Sorry for anybody that's too loud for. So it's Crystal Light packets, you know, the powdery packets, and it's half strawberry and half lemonade, kind of making a strawberry lemonade. Got myself in the face there. You tell me what's in your cup, all right? And today we're going to be tackling why you might not be as good a YouTuber as you think you are. I think that's what I titled it. Something very much like that is what I was going for. All right. So let me come over here and let me build some of my notes here. And I'm going to say this one. Yes. And I'm going to say... All right, so let's just start with one of these, all right? Hello, Adams Exploits. Hello, Pixelpia. One of the first reasons why. This is the Stanley today, Stanley. One of the reasons why you're not as good a YouTuber as you might think you are, you don't respond to your comments. Sorry, myself included, sometimes I fall behind, and especially it looks really bad when after I switched over from a personal channel to a brand channel where they delete all of your comments. They delete all of them that you've ever made when you were classified as a personal channel. And so if you go on some of my videos, some that may have like thousands of comments, it looks like I haven't responded to a single one of them. When I assure you, I probably did, because I was very fastidious back in the day about making sure I did that, making sure I had canned responses, making sure that I definitely at least hearted or thumbs up. But now you don't really see that. But that is one of those things where I have found, and I know that when you get larger, it becomes a lot harder to manage your comment section. Now, for that, there are some tools that you can use, including something like canned responses, text replacements, and different things like that to at least officially let you get through more in the same amount of time you are already allotting, if that makes sense. So instead of just spending 15 minutes and then starting each comment response from scratch, if you had a generator that at least had like some text keyboard shortcuts like YW for you're welcome, or, you know, anything like that, maybe in that 15 minutes you could respond to twice as many comments, something like that. And then there are some things that you can do. Now, granted, some channels are so big that they can't do that. But then what you also don't do is you don't make it an event for when you have a new video come out. And maybe you say something like, I'll be responding to comments for the first hour. Maybe you're in the chat for the first hour. Maybe you do it as a premiere and you're like, I'm in the chat with you right now, watching the video along with you. Ask me your questions, and you respond to chat that way. There are a couple of ways that you could still respond to people's comments, even if you only have a certain amount of time per week. So different ways like that, you can still make it known that you're interested in corresponding with the people that are watching, something like that. That would still be a good idea, right? So what do we have? We have new. Please define YouTuber. Anyone who publishes videos on YouTube. So, because remember, that's my official definition. And like, if you are signed into YouTube and you are watching, you're a viewer. If you have ever hit the publish button, you are officially a YouTuber. You're a video content creator, right? So, they would take their own 10% Stanley discount, so I refused to buy one. Coleman Stanley. Oh, yeah, I think I remember you saying that. Your title definitely brought you in. Well, hello, Kath. We're trying. Yeah, it might get a little spicy or controversial. We'll see. Go taste and see. Hello. Welcome to the broadcast. So that's the first one, is you're not very good at responding to comments. You don't respond to comments at all. You have a desolate wasteland when it comes to what your comment sections look like, and you don't really respect the community that is there giving you their time. All right. So comments, questions, concerns, agreement, disagreement, anything that you got with that first point, put it in the chat because I want to hear. Because I want to hear about it. Now, there is an unhealthy obsession with, keeping the alerts on, and absolutely I get that sometimes you need to have your off time and turn off your brain and not be thinking about YouTube, because with YouTube, right, we've talked about enough is never enough, and you're going to have to set your own healthy boundaries if you know that you're someone who tends to get carried away. I'm not talking about that, okay? You know what I'm talking about. So there's that. Number 2, the thing that makes you not a very good YouTuber. Okay, you never do any research about your video topic. I'm not saying like some big dissertation. I'm not saying, so for example, I did post an update on the video short that I did yesterday where I said, I think YouTube sent me a present. And then I was like, there's no information on this box, but I'm thinking this is from YouTube, because I remember seeing videos from YouTube in the past from the shorts creators that are in the shorts community, and they had this little microphone, and I have a microphone. I didn't order a microphone. I'm thinking this is from YouTube. Here I am trying to deduce and put all these pieces together. Okay. Now, the update to that video I just posted it, and I was like, okay, y'all, I'm an idiot. Let's talk about, what else is new? Let's talk about it. A new reason why I am not so smart. So I was like, had I spent an extra 10, 15 seconds in that video before I posted it, because I was just so excited in the moment, open it up on the microphone itself, and it's downstairs because I just filmed that video. I say film that video like I'm a YouTuber. You know what I mean. Was the shorts logo and insignia on the mic. So obviously, yes, it was from YouTube. Okay. So mystery solved. Had I done 5 seconds of research, I would have known that was the answer. And it reminds me of the episode of Friends where Phoebe is saying to Ross, come on, Ross, you're an archaeologist. Let's dig a little deeper. And it was just like, that was so me in that moment. I should have just taken 5 extra seconds. I was like, oh, there's no packaging that tells me who this is from. Look at the mic. Look at not the box of the mic. Look at the mic. Now the kicker is I can't use the mic because I don't have a lightning port, but I did say what I could maybe do. I was like, I could just be one of those people who annoys all the people online. You hold the lavalier, and people do it. I get it for cinema, but other people, the audiophiles, get so upset about it. And I was just like, at least it's something to talk about. Okay. I think it's something to talk about. You know what? I want to hear what you think. What else, not only points that I'm going to make, but what you think also makes for a not great YouTuber. Put it in the chat. Okay. Let's group source this. Okay. So can I get a, I hear you, a hand clap, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, thumbs up on this video, I don't know, whatever, however you want to interact with it to let me know, I hear you, I agree with you, or maybe you don't agree with me. But that was another one where I'm saying you never do any research about your video topic. Now, a lot of the things that happen, I'm not talking about sometimes it's a first reaction, okay? Because sometimes there are those things. It's a first reaction to, and these have become really popular. Like, I've never listened to Taylor Swift before, and here I am reacting to her first intro video of her concert. You don't need to research that, okay? Because that would mean you've seen a whole bunch of videos about the concert, or some other thing where it truly is this first impression, right? Now, even if you're doing a first impression, though, I'm going to contradict myself. Let's say in makeup, you can say, like, how much it was and where did I buy it and was it available? That is still a little bit of research, right? You're going to be like, where could I purchase this? Because only some brands are at Ulta versus Sephora versus the drugstore or anything like that. You're going to actually have to do some work. But I'm talking also about where you never look into your subject. I'm talking about the people that email, like, would you like to have me be an editor for shorts because I can rip apart your videos and make basically some clips for you? And I'm like, do you not know what did you never research anything? Did you never look at any of my content? Did you like just a little research, just some that lets me know you're in this game? Okay. I can't take you seriously if you got nothing. Okay. Just like we like people who have opinions on certain things, right? But when those opinions come from a place of just like complete stupidity, ignorance, and like willful, just I refuse to ever even look at it before I talk about it. And then what's so maddening is when they're so sure of themselves. Anyways, but if you never do any research, so let's say it was, I'm going to do a tutorial on how to do something. There's one thing about being live and like, what happens when you push this button? What happens here? But when you do zero research and then you're like, you don't realize you can't do this thing that maybe someone is asking you to teach them. And it takes you an hour to figure that out. Had you done that research, right? You could make a short video as a response being like, hey, I looked into it. Can't actually do that. Here's what happens when you try. That's something. Okay. That is something though. That's not what people do though. And so I was reminded of something when I saw Roberto Blake, and he spoke at Vid Summit, and he did a great job. It's probably one of the best talks that I've seen him present. And it was basically, one of the points was YouTube is not saturated. It's just saturated with really crap content, right? And one of the ways that we sometimes stand out amongst our peers or just from the crap and the mire is actually to do some, I didn't say like overboard research because we all know there's so much analysis paralysis that you do nothing, but I'm talking just a basic level, like me yesterday. If I just opened the box, you know what I'm saying? If people just open the box metaphorically, physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever, before they made the video, there would be less crap content out there, okay? So can I get a thumbs up on that? Can you just thumbs up this video, thumbs up this live stream, thumbs up this chat, whatever, okay? So the next thing is going to be, I mean, no, I'm going to save that one for the end because that one's pretty obvious, but I'm going to come out here and I'm going to say, you don't know who you're talking to. And I don't mean like you talking to me. What I'm talking about is when you're making videos, after a while, I'm not saying at the very beginning, but after a while, you probably have considered there is this, we might call it ICA, ideal client avatar, ideal customer avatar, ideal viewer. Okay. It might be showing in your demographics. It might be how you come across. It may be actually in your intro or how you say things. I'm so-and-so and I'm building a beauty community for women over 40, whatever it is, right? If you don't know who you're talking to sometimes, you have to be very careful, because if I come in one day and I just start, if I just start throwing F-bombs around and I start throwing all kinds of just stupid stuff out there, just not thinking, that is not good. That's not good. Now, not only is it what you're saying, but like who you're talking to, the subject matter that you choose. And this comes down to, and I don't want to use that word niche, tell me which way you say it, okay? I'm not going to judge anyone either way. A lot of people think niche is one topic, like I did for a long time. The topic was iMovie. So all things encompassed had to do with iMovie, had to be iMovie. And I did not stray outside of iMovie, right? And one of the problems with is when you do something like that, and a lot of people will tell you when you go very heavy into one subject matter, okay? One topic. Then if something happens, if that program goes away, then my whole channel is kind of kaput and worthless. If my, if something else happens like that, that's just, it's not good. However, if you build this community in mind of who you're talking to, I'm not just talking to people who use iMovie, I'm talking to video creators who are trying to maybe be better YouTubers and want to learn about YouTube and video creation. Okay, that still might be too broad for some people, but that's kind of who I have in mind. They're probably a little bit older. They're probably, you know what I'm saying? I'm not tailoring my message. I'm not tailoring my videos. I'm not tailoring my speech to 13-year-olds. Okay, bless them, bless. Thanks if you're watching, appreciate you. But that's not who I have in mind when I'm thinking about my ideal viewer, who I'm talking about, right? I'm talking to someone who's probably got a 9 to 5, is still thinking about content creation on the side, wants this to maybe become something, is a little confused either about how to do it or how to do it well. Okay? Don't know how to do anything with all this video footage I have or these ideas, and then don't know what to do with it to get it on YouTube, after that. So that's kind of that person, a little bit older, probably not yet completely full-time. Maybe they're doing this to support their business, right? That is the kind of like niche that I have. It's not by topic, it's by community and group. So hopefully that makes sense. But when you forget who you're talking to, and one day I'm like, you know what I really want to talk about today is I want to talk to that 13-year-old who is about to go into 8th grade or 9th grade, and I want to show them X, right? That would just be strange if I came in one day and I was like, okay, I want to show you how to tie a tie today, because I'm sure that's what all of you who are about video content creation tips and YouTube advice really want to know about. Now, how could I work that into a video? I could still be tying a tie whilst I tell you this is how I might film a tutorial, right? So let's say I'm doing a tutorial about how to tie a tie. So I'm going to need some B-roll of this, the before, the after. I'm going to probably need to come closer and have like the tie looping, and the angles. Maybe I'm going to throw in some arrows and I show you how to edit that. That is the way to encompass what I do and what I talk about to who I talk about on a subject matter that really isn't inside of my target audience and demographic. That's how I try and create it. But I'm not just making a straight video about how to tie a tie, hoping to get to the 12-year-olds. That's just not my jam. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay. So a lot of us forget who we're talking to, and we just kind of fly by the seat of our pants and be like, what do I feel like making today? Not necessarily what does this person who's watching me have a question about that I can answer for them. Okay. And when we come at it from more of like this, it's not quite servant leadership, but you know what I'm saying, where we think of that viewer in mind as we're crafting content, and it becomes a little less selfish about like what I want to do, it's what I want to talk about to the people that I want to talk about. So there's a difference. It's not just I decided the topic and you guys are going to like take it or like it, or, take it or shove it or whatever. It's going to be more so like, I have a question and it came from my audience. Okay, let me try and answer it. Okay. So when we forget who our audience is, when we forget who we're talking to, it leads to confusion. Okay. And confusion is just one of those content or channel killers sometimes, because if you just never know what to expect when you come to someone's channel, what kind of video you're going to get, what kind of topic they're going to have, or what day, right? All of that is going to kind of affect not just loyalty, but like perception of you and your channel. Does that make sense? If that makes sense and people agree, give me a thumbs up. If that doesn't make sense or you don't agree, put it in the comments. Okay? You can disagree. I won't ban you for that yet. We'll see how well you articulate your your dissatisfaction. All right, Chantel's in the house. All right. The next reason that you're maybe not as good a YouTuber as you think you are, and this comes back to the video preparation. And this is going to come back to this ugly, ugly S word. It's called video script. Scripting. Okay. So the problem with scripting, you have, first of all, you know that I am team bullet points. And if you are not team bullet points and your team word for word, let me know. Or if your team no script, script flies out the window, let me know that too. Which one are you? Okay. So the thing with a video script, okay, it builds in consistency and it helps to keep you from rambling about things that are not specific to that subject matter or to that audience. Okay. So when I don't have a script, you get random stories about me almost buying an Amazon over goods selling crate or whatever it was, or you get stories about me buying too many boots, or you get stories of just redonkulous stuff. Okay. And that's fine during a live stream, right? It's a little more casual because that's going to be with a community that usually enjoys you more so than. But when we're talking about a script for a video, especially like if I'm doing a tutorial or if I'm making some sort of point, there's probably going to be some sort of outline. Now, I know people who go word for word, use a teleprompter. We're talking pages and pages and pages, okay? That's not me. That's not my journey, but I respect them. And I can read from a teleprompter, but I just choose not to. But I will say that some of the time when people are starting out, it takes some of the sting of not unfamiliarity, but just not knowing what to do. You know, like Ricky Bobby, like in the first interview, he's like, I'm not sure what to do with my hands. At least you have a plan with what to do with your hands in some circumstances, is what I'm saying. So if you know that you're making a video about your favorite boot, okay, maybe you're going to say something like, where did you buy the boot? How much was the boot? What kind of material was the boot? These are questions not only that your audience is going to ask, but you want to answer, right? This is information that you want to have out. And you say, how do you break in boots? How long do you wear boots? Do you wear boots inside or outside? How do you style boots, right? Whatever. The history of the boot company manufacturer that you're wearing. So if I were to just turn on the camera and go, I would remember some of those points that I just listed off, but if I listed off those points as bullet points and, you know, stare at it for a second and then I talk about it, then I come back to the next one and I talk about it, it would be a much better structured video and I would go less off of script if I did it this way. Okay. Now, I think I saw there is a team bullet points out there with Chantel. Yes, that was team bullet points. I see a Pixelpia, it depends. Tell me more about it depends. Tell me more about exactly what you're referring to, okay? So you'll still get the Lynn stories on my lives, but not my videos. See, you will get lots of side stories on the live streams, but you don't get them usually in videos, right? Now, this does herein lie some kind of strategery, as we like to say in the biz, because one of the problems, and I've run into it, and especially educational tutorial type channels run into, is that when we get valued for being succinct, when we get praise for only stripping down to the bare minimum of what needs to be said, a lot of the time, one, we're not building an audience that cares about us or is asking any kinds of questions about us, right? And so it's harder and more difficult to build and cultivate the relationship sometimes, because a lot of the times with those types of channels, people find you in their moment of need, but then don't need you anymore. So sometimes they'll need you because maybe you have 40 other videos on the same type of topic and it's something they want to learn about, and that's cool. And then maybe you get like this interaction across lots of different videos, but sometimes they just needed that one thing and then they're gone. And so we find that after a long time, you may have a lot of content in your library, but you don't have a really deep, meaningful connection with a lot of the people who watch, right? And you're going to see that in stuff like analytics, where a lot of the people who are viewing not subscribe to you, right? Because they're looking for it inside of YouTube, inside of Google, and they found it, or it was served up because they didn't maybe even get the solution they wanted and they were still looking for said topic, right? Or it was suggested off of a video that was same subject matter. And so we have to find other ways to weave ourselves into these types of situations to talk about things that we enjoy, to get people to like us more or to want to come back. Or we do other things like other types of content, such as we try and do more stories where people get an inside look at something. We try and do live streams where people will want to maybe come hang out with us and chat with us a little bit, right? But again, it's going to be a much smaller and different sometimes audience, because sometimes people that come for one type of content don't come for another. So that's where you also have to keep in mind, do you know who you're talking to? So even when I do a live stream, even though I love to go off on these wild tangents and stories and be all squirrel brain, I still try and keep it a lot of the time into the realm of creator or video creation, right? So we either talk about something YouTubey, or we talk hopefully about something video related, or maybe tutorial about a video related thing so you can use it in a YouTube video. That's the hope. That is the hope, okay? So what do we get here? Lots of research material, might need more scripting, so I combined bullet and script. Yeah, and it's hard. I think some people, they freak out about writing scripts, and some people, they just thrive on it. And some people love to write a script and then don't read or use any of it. And some people just need a couple bullet points or a couple of things that just remind them, as like bumper lanes do when you're learning to bowl, just kind of kick you back onto the main. I'm like, oh yeah. It kind of jogs your memory, and then you go back to what you're doing. But that's the thing, is sometimes people don't do that at all. And so we will find maybe we're editing someone's videos and they're like, oh, I went off on this topic. It has nothing to do with the topic of the video. And I'm like, well, maybe that's in itself something separate where we use it as a YouTube short, but it's not part of the video and we take it out, right? Because great as that story is, it has nothing to do with the topic that you're trying to promise to the viewer. So we want to keep that promise from this title that we're thinking up and this thumbnail that we're crafting. We're not going to talk to them about X when the whole video is about Y. So tell me why and don't go to X. Okay? All right. The next reason why you may not be as good of a YouTuber as you think you are. You stop learning. No, what I mean is, I'm writing my... A lot of the time when people start to make YouTube videos, in the beginning, they go uber heavy on research, right? And then they're like, I need to learn all the things sometimes before I do YouTube. And then maybe sometimes when there are a few videos in, you start to see some of these people where they're like, I know it all. And that is a very dangerous mindset. And it could be a year in, 2 years in, 3 years in. They may be having success even. But then something like Adpocalypse happens. Something like ElsaGate happens. Something like DCMA happens. Something like UMG pulling out of all the TikTok music library happens. Okay? And they have never taken any additional time to be like, how can I be better? How can I be different? How can I grow and expand? Right? Because what has been working for them was working for them. And then when it stops working for them, then house is on fire. And by then it's too late. Maybe, it's like if I had 500 tutorials on Canva and then Canva kicked me out of their affiliate program and said I can't make videos anymore, then how am I going to pivot that? What am I going to do? Right? And then if you stop learning, if you learned all these things, they became outdated, and then all of a sudden these new things happened, and you're still talking about things that are now like debunked or just bad, and you see it, bad advice we still hear, and that's the only thing you're pushing and publishing, then people will also start to be like, Susie doesn't know what they're talking about. They keep making videos about all of these things that have been told, to us that isn't true. that's not the way that that works, have been upgraded, right? So if you don't keep learning, and that applies to everything, learning how to maybe do something different with your thumbnails, learning how to take a look at analytics in ways you've never thought before, learning how to, maybe edit to video retention, learning how to, make more money in different ways by expanding all of your revenue streams. It's just one of those things where people get very, very comfortable, and then after they become comfortable and complacent, they can also start to poison the well a little bit for others around them. And what's interesting about that is you'll have some people who are very eager to give all of this advice, right? And it's good, let's say it's good advice. But the problem is people take that advice and do not execute on it. And that's the difference sometimes between people who have ideas and dreams and goals and people who actually achieve ideas and dreams and goals, is usually plan and execution. Okay, so if you have a well-executed plan at 80%, it is better than a plan that never never was executed. That's what I'm saying is, I'm also reading, and when I say reading, I mean listening to. I'm listening to an audiobook currently, and it is called, I don't want to get the title wrong, all right? It is called The 12-Week Year, maybe? I'm going to tell you. So, yes. So, I'm currently in chapter 12. So I'm 37% of the way in, okay? This is it. So if you're looking at it, the 12-week year. And they talk about this a lot in here, okay? So one of the things they talk about, and I don't want to get into this because actually if you guys and gals want a video about like books that I've read that I would encourage anyone to read, whether it's about, YouTube education or what, just personal life, just books that I recommend anyone listen to. If you want a video like that, maybe make it as a short or something, but I guess let me know and I could list some books that I think are worth listening to. But because I'm really big into audiobooks because I feel like, again, I like to be learning. And that's one of the things about me is I always like to, learn, experiment, try, report back so that y'all kind of like can see. But when you stop learning, you become very complacent. And when you become complacent, you're not striving for new things. And then that whole thing that happens is you're like, well, why isn't this working as well as it used to? Because times where they are a changing. People have like grown accustomed to a certain thing and a new level and standard and they want more. Okay. So give me more. Sometimes you also have to rise to the occasion. Okay, we can become very complacent and then be mad about our lack of growth. So if you stop learning or you stop trying to implement or you stop planning, that could actually be one of the reasons why you don't actually grow or achieve the goals that you want to. Okay, so if we're enjoying this so far, if you're agreeing with me, will you let me know? The comment section is a little bit quiet, so say that you're out there with me, all right? Say that you're out there still. So the next reason why you're not as good a YouTuber as you think you are, okay, is going to be you never collaborate with others. This does not have to be on screen. This doesn't mean that, okay? This means sometimes collaboration is as simple as like retweeting someone, okay? It's about building the community around you that you want. And that could be, you're going to conferences, you're speaking at events, you're showing up for people in their live streams. You are, those are all ways to collaborate with people without ever being on camera. But sure, there's also in-person collaborations, there's virtual collaborations, there's Marco Polo between creators that like to chat, there's going on vacations or trips or anything like that with girls, guys, people, creators that are in the same industry as you. This is going to industry events, okay? So this is going to the Vid Summit or VidCon or, Seattle YouTube Day or the Creator Collective events or those types of things. When you stop collaborating with people, okay, some people will forget that you exist. And some of those people are your friends. And you don't really want all of your friends to forget that you exist sometimes, because good things can happen when they remember that you exist. It could be anything from, oh, this brand deal didn't work out for me, but you know who I think would be a good fit for this? This person. And they keep you in mind because you have a good relationship with them. You've shown support for them. You have a different subject matter expertise than them, and they think of you. Okay. Or this looks like something like your friend hit some milestone and they haven't maybe mentioned it yet, and you send them the congratulatory text. Okay, that's collaboration. That's building community amongst your peers. That's building communication across, whatever platform that you want to, but using the technology to connect to other people. But a lot of us don't do that anymore. We, and myself included, become very insulated in our homes, or because I'm not a vlogger. I don't go out into the world and hold my phone out and do these things. I do most of this in private. I do most of this inside of this like 8x8 room. Okay, I don't leave this room. I'm just here by myself. And so it's still important though to build a name for yourself, whether it's commenting on someone's LinkedIn, sharing their posts, and not ever expecting. One of the problems with a lot of it is it's currency. It's like you do for me and I do for you. And sometimes when you give without expectation, some of those people will be the ones who aren't keeping score, and they're going to come back later and reward you with an unexpected gift. Okay. It could be an introduction to someone that they've worked with and they thought they could connect you with. It could be like, you know what? I know that you do that video thing and I want to do that thing, so maybe you could help me. It could be some sort of like, hey, I know that you do this. Would you be interested in coming and speaking at this conference? Right? And a lot of the time when it has happened, it's been from people that I haven't talked to in a while, but I've always had good interactions with, or I see them at a conference and I keep in touch with them. And I just, every time they post something, I like it. Maybe I retweet it or I comment on it, and I build that community. And when you stop building community, when you stop collaborating with others, when you stop and only become very self-involved, I think that makes you have a much harder time getting farther faster. Now, if y'all remember last week, I was talking about how Ryan Trahan probably had one of the best video launches of his candy, and the number of cameos in there from very big YouTubers is somewhat astonishing. And I don't think he's doing that by paying all of them. Okay, he's doing that from meeting them at industry events. I know that Ryan has spoken at Vid Summit like 2 years in a row. I know Jimmy, is part of that. I know that they've talked behind the scenes. I know that they introduce each other to certain things. They've had series where they, involve the other. And these are the types of things. You're building these relationships, communities, and then all of a sudden you have Mr. Beast appearing, let's say, in your commercial. It's basically a commercial, right? You have Colin and Smear appearing in your commercial. You have all, Mark Rober appearing in your video. That happens through collaboration, through community, through, wanting to help your fellow person. And when you stop doing all those things, you're not going to call up Mark and be like, hey, will you, do this? Or you're not going to call up Colin and Samir and be like, hey, will you guys be in a car, kind of be bobbing your head along and then like eat my candy and be like, was that Ryan? You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to take the time out of their day to collab with you in that way if you don't have a relationship and be building community. All right. Ouchie. 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 What did I miss? Tech with Terrence. What did I miss? Okay. The next reason why you're not as good a YouTuber as you think you are, you stop publishing. So y'all know, and Pixelpia asked it earlier, what's your definition of a YouTuber? And I said someone who publishes videos on YouTube. Okay. When you stop publishing videos on YouTube, okay, is harder. Okay. And I'm not saying like, oh, I reached my capacity, I need to take a break. I'm talking about the inconsistency in showing up if you've said you were going to show up. So, like I said, when I'm reading that book and it's talking about the 12-week year and execution and saying, here are the things that I want to achieve. Here are the steps that are going to be needed for me to achieve them. How close did I get? What percentage of the goal did I get? When you get to a place where you accomplish 60 or 70%, and even 60, 70% consistently week over week for the 12 weeks, you would still accomplish more than most people do in this annualized mindset because of so many reasons. But when someone sees that 60% for 2-3 weeks in a row, one of the first things they might do is have this avoidance thing. We'd be like, oh, I'll just stop measuring. Or you do even less, right? Or be like, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm so far off. I'll start again, right? And we do this thing where we're like, oh, I'll make it up in the fourth quarter, which is like, I'll make it up in month 3 or something like that. And it doesn't happen. And a lot of people then come to do that with YouTube. So it's like, I'm going to publish this amount of videos, but then what they need to do is not watch Netflix 4 hours more or less a week, right? And what happens is people are unwilling to do things that cause them discomfort or cause them, it's not just discomfort, but inconvenience, right? Nobody wants to get up and run at 5 a.m., okay? But when you do that consistently every day for 12 weeks, let's say, it would be incomprehensible, okay, for there not to be a positive benefit or you to get closer to the goal that you wanted, which was run a marathon, okay? If the goal was run a marathon and your step to do it was run every day for at least 15, 20 minutes, okay? So this is where it comes to YouTube videos and you stop publishing. It's like, okay, so I'm going to make, in this, let's say 12 weeks, I'm going to do a video a week. So what are the steps that would be needed for me to be able to do that? I would need to, make sure my filming stuff is set up. I would need to already have my bullet points. I would maybe want to have a content plan so I can kind of always know what I want to talk about. I would need to film for 40 minutes and then edit for X amount of time. And when we go 3 weeks in and we haven't turned on the camera, but we do a time audit and we've discovered we, have spent 30 hours watching Netflix or playing some video game that came out or, doing something else. When we confront that with ourselves, some people will throw their hands up and just be like, oh, well, and some people will be like, oh, it's okay. I can do it all tomorrow. Okay. And then the next thing that happens is like, let's say it's week 10 and you're like, oh shit, I have produce nothing. And so you either can then rush to put out some crappy things to try and achieve this number, or you just give up and you say no. And a lot of people don't want to confront that. The reason that they don't hit the goals is because they're unwilling to be comfortable and move through the period to get to the end goal, right? So I know Angelique was on here a few weeks ago and we talked about we eliminate things that don't make the boat go faster, right? All the superfluous stuff, the stuff that isn't needed, the things that like are slowing the boat down, we cut them all. So maybe that's, we have to stop going out to dinner every Thursday and maybe we, do something else because we use that time for, this. Or maybe it's we stop talking to that person that is always a time suck and like distracts us from what there's some people in your life too that like everything they do is dramatic. They always have a story. They always something has happened to them and they become an emotional vampire and they suck it all out of you. And then that after you are done conversing with Susie, you can't film. You're physically unable to film. So why on all days would you take a phone call from Susie on a Wednesday when your filming day is Wednesday afternoon? Okay. Maybe it's like, Susie, I'm gonna have to call you tomorrow. But some people are unwilling to either cut down or cut out the things that don't make the boat go faster, that don't help you get to your goal, right? Or that be like, oh, it's okay. I'll talk to Susie for an hour and then I'll be ready to film, and we bargain with ourselves, but the goal is the goal, right? And how we achieve it and how effective we are in doing the things that will get us to our goal. That's up to us. That's the execution. So the goal doesn't care if you do it or not, right? It's not going to be like, way to go. The goal, like, it is what it is. And it's the execution and the plan that actually is the measurement, right? The success of hitting the goal is it's not the reward, it's the natural conclusion of the output from the steps that you put in to achieve said goal. I'm getting into the mumbo jumbo here. I'm like I said, I'm 12 chapters in. I highly encourage you to take a listen. But I think it's interesting, and it's definitely made me rethink sometimes how I spend my day today. I wasted a good 3 hours on TikTok, scrolling, YouTube, when I was just like, I knew now. I know now. And I knew later. I was so mad at myself. I was so disappointed. And then I wanted to like throw my hands up and be like, oh, screw it. The whole day is gone. And that is also like this kind of catastrophizing mindset that a lot of us have had. Like, ooh, I wasn't able to do this thing. And now, oh, I can't do it. The whole thing is it's ruined, right? It's ruined. I burned the brownies on the edges so no one should eat brownies is kind of the thing. When really you can be like, well, maybe I take them and I throw a whole bunch of frosting in them and make cake bites. Or maybe I just eat the center and I don't eat the outer part. You know, is there probably some way to save it? I don't know. Maybe I toss it in a big old bowl of milk and see how the mush turns out. And that's the thing, is a lot of people, they'll just see the burnt brownies and be like, oh, I suck at life. I should never bake again. Okay. So does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I don't know if it does for some people, but for me, those are just some of the reasons why I think that a lot of us aren't as good at YouTubers as we think we are. Okay. Like I said, we're not learning, you know, maybe taking a look at our analytics once in a while and actually like trying to figure out what might make the boat go faster. We're not actually being realistic as to the topics that we're picking or the audience that we're trying to talk to. We're not reaching out and collaborating or even congratulating some of our peers. We don't recommend them when someone says like, I'm looking for a video on X, and you know that your friend has a video on X. You know what you do? You say, you should watch this person's video. It'll get you on the right path, right? This person's really helpful. And I feel like a lot of people don't want to do that, which is part of community building, which is part of collaboration in ways, because they believe if they provide information about someone else, about how great they are, they, for some reason, are not great. Okay. So instead of getting a thank you for helping me, thank you for seeing my call for help and, you know, providing me a great direction to go, some people would rather just not. And they'll be like, well, if I can't help them, I'm just not going to say anything, or, you know, or I'm going to help them, but like, it's not well researched and it's not good advice, or it's outdated advice, you know? And they don't want to build up someone else because they think somehow it takes away from them. And that, you know, if I admit that someone else is really good at this, that must mean I'm not good at it. And that's not true at all. I know for a fact that, you know, tons of other people are really good at things and explain them in a way that would make it simple for someone else. That doesn't mean that I can't do the same, but I'm saying I already know that they've done this. Go watch this right now because it'll be great help to you. Okay. As opposed to me trying to regurgitate what was said in that video and do it in a haphazard way, in a non-researched way, give it to you, and then have you be like bummed and confused because you don't know exactly how to use this piece of equipment, or you don't really have or gosh forbid, you ask me a question about it and I have no idea because I don't really know anything about the thing and I was just faking it and regurgitating what someone else said, which happens a lot. Okay. So like Roberto was saying, there's not just an influx of bad content. There's not just an influx of content, period. There's an influx of bad content, and that includes regurgitated content that someone is only saying what someone else has said or what they've heard. But if you dig just an inch deeper, you understand they have no idea what they're talking about. And that is what is so, I'm just going to say, infuriating to me, is when people are successful by just taking someone else's words and concepts and repackaging it in some other way. This doesn't apply to like certain topics. I'm saying if you have your own personal experiences, all good. But I'm talking about certain very like specific scenarios where I've seen people just take almost word for word what someone else said in a video and do it themselves, reverse the order of it, and all of a sudden people will applaud them like, that's the best advice I've ever heard. And I get it. not everybody like watches the same people, so it isn't as obvious when you see it. But when you do see it and you know for a fact that it came from someone else because you may have seen that person, and they're asking the question, the same questions where someone then said, oh, watch this video, it's really great, and then they make the video. It's not, I watched this video, it was so great and it taught me how to do my setup, and let me show you how I did it, and I recommend you watch this video, which is building community and collaborating. It's, I did this thing, I set this up, let me show you how to do it. It's not cool. It's not cool. Okay? That is uncool. Okay, and I'm going to throw this last one in here. The next reason why you may not be as good a YouTuber as you think you are is because you've carefully curated and crafted this image of you that does not exist. Your online persona, okay, we talked about the persona, the person who watches you being a certain type of thing. That's one thing. I am talking about the people who are so fake that when you meet them in person, you're like, is that the same person? They talk nothing like they do when they're on video, right? They, like, the biggest compliment that you can have is when someone is going to come up to you and be like, oh, wow, I just spent an hour with you. You are exactly the same as you are in your videos. And I get it. I am the same as I am, but like amped up 20% because it's either caffeinated or I'm not trying to have you guys fall asleep because we all put on a little bit of a performance when we're on, right? But I'm talking about the people who have complete different personalities. I'm going to tell you all a story. Nobody asked for this, but it's a live stream and I can go off topic. In high school, so a million years ago, when the dinosaurs still roamed the earth, okay, there's only 3 of us here, so you guys are my friends. I had a good girlfriend of mine. She had a boyfriend. In my town, there were, people always think it was a small town, but it wasn't. There were like 5 high schools, okay? And each high school was still fairly sizable. So we're talking like 1,600, 1,800, 1,000, you know, like each high school still had a good amount of people in it. So this girlfriend of mine started dating a boy from a neighboring high school, okay? Not our high school, a different high school, okay? And she was asked to go to, it was homecoming. And she had said yes, but she was also like, kind of like, it was new. I'm going to say that, okay? So that's a lot of pressure for a new relationship. And way back then she was like, I want you to come with me. And I was like, that's weird. Okay. Like, I don't think 2-on-1 for this date. I don't think they want to be bringing 2, not out of towners, but like out of schoolers to the prom or homecoming. And she's like, no, like, he has a friend. Do you know where this is going? He has a friend that will go. And I'm like, what do you mean will go? And he's like, yeah, he wants to go to homecoming, and so yeah, but he doesn't have a date, and he's good friends with my buddy, and so they were gonna maybe go, like, we could all go together. I was like, I don't know this person. Why would I want to go? I was only curious because I wanted to see what their homecoming was like, because that high school was a little bit like, I went to the not as nice high school, and this one across town was like a nicer high school. So I kind of wanted to be like, I'm kind of curious what this homecoming might look like, right? And so after a lot of convincing, does anyone care about this story? No one cares about this story. Okay, I'm sorry. After a lot of convincing, I was like, fine, I will go with you guys to homecoming. But like, I don't want homecoming to be the very first time that I meet this person, okay? Like, that would be just extra weird. And so they were like, okay, cool. We will set up a time for you to meet this person. But it was kind of funny because he doesn't even know what I look like, I would think, unless maybe she just showed him a yearbook. I guess it didn't matter to him. He didn't care. It was just like, some person from another school is going to come with my buddy and my buddy's girlfriend, who's also going to that school, so that we can go to homecoming together. Okay. And I was like, all right, we're doing this. So they arranged for me to meet this guy, and I meet him, and he was weird, y'all. I'm just going to say weird. And we met for like a good 5 minutes just to like know that each other existed. I mean, truth be told. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, nice to meet you. I guess I'll see you on whatever date that was, right? Because yeah, I guess. So I'm trying to even remember. You guys, this is so long ago that I'm getting to the point of the story though, because the rest of the details are not even important. But I have to meet him, but for some reason, like I think it was like a carpool. Okay. So I'm at my girlfriend's house. We're getting ready together because that's what girls do. And we're two girls that go to the same school getting picked up by boys that go to other, right? It just makes sense. So I'm at her house getting ready. I think we get picked up, and then the carpool then goes to this guy's house. When we walk up, and because, like back in the day, parents were very like, oh, let me get a picture. You guys all have to come in. Right? You know what I'm saying. Give me a thumbs up if you know what I'm saying. That people were like this. And we didn't have like phones that were doing all this. This was like, let me get my camera. So we had to go in for the obligatory, everyone looks so beautiful. Look at you guys. And what was so strange about this entire interaction was I had only met this man for like, and it's weird to call him a man. Okay, he was a boy. He was a boy. I've only met this boy for like 5 minutes, literally. He was on break, work, sat down for a second, and then I left. Okay, we were just making sure that like each other existed, like I said. So we show up at his parents' house, or his house. At his house. He lived there too, as does his parents. And we show up there, and then he said something like, he said something so strange, and he was like, I just want to warn you about something. And I'm like, oh God, we're so early into the evening for this to be a warning time. And he's like, I have a different voice. And I said, excuse me? And he said, you'll see. And I was like, okay. So I thought that was just like, that's why I was like, I left that interaction. That was during the 5-minute interaction, or something, or I don't even remember. And so I show up at his parents' house. Y'all, he like talked like he was Christian Bale Batman, the one with the voice very like low and gravel, like completely different voice around his parents. And it was so strange. It was really, really, really strange. And I remember just kind of looking at him and being like, this is so weird. So we go to the dance, and we have one other girlfriend who goes to that school. Her boyfriend goes to that school. So we have the 3 ladies, and we're like, oh, yay, we're all together. So we take a photo with the 3 girls because, that's just what girls do at a homecoming. And then, the guys are just kind of like standing around with thumbs in pockets and whatever. This guy was so weird. I think, no, we did not dance together. And I think it was probably like 40 minutes into it. Like I could not stand this person because like he was using this other voice than the one that I talked to him. And it was so annoying to even listen to him. I didn't want to listen to him. So I actually just went out dancing with my girlfriend that was there and our friend from the school as well. And we're dancing, the 3 of us. And he says something, I don't even know what it was, but it was enough to like tick me off to the point I was like, bye. And so I left him there at the dance, and then we went to Denny's, all of us, and not him. So he was so strange. And that's the last I ever heard of that boy, heard from that boy. And so why I'm telling you this story, first of all, okay, actually the decorations and stuff were very nice. There were a lot of people looking at us because obviously when you go to a specific high school, the people who are at your high school. So a lot of people were looking at us like, who are these people? Who are these people? And us just being there like, anyways. And then they're like, who's your date? Like, I don't know. He's not here anymore. I left. But so I went to Denny's, and I had the Rudy Tooty Fresh and Fruity breakfast after homecoming, and then I took myself home, and I never heard from that guy again. So wherever you are, Godspeed. Hope you're doing well. But that was a very strange incident, and I say that because when you are 2 different people completely, you have people leave you, and you don't get to go to Denny's. That's the moral of the story, okay? When you are 2 different people, you will have to have people ask you the next day, who was that girl you were with? What's her name? And they'll be like, I don't remember because she left me and then went to Denny's with my friends, right? When you're two different people, you stay home with a different voice with your parents, while that girl from across town never thinks of you again until 20 years later on a random live stream, as an example of what not to do in life. So there you go. All right, let's pick a boot of the week, shall we, people? Boot of the week, boot of the week. We're gonna talk about our boot of the week. Boot of the week, boot of the week. We're gonna talk about the boot of the week. Boot of the week. You guys, this is hard. Okay. We're gonna talk about this one really quickly. And there's a reason why I want to talk about this one. First of all, I have not worn these yet, and that needs to happen. Number two, the reason why you see less boots this week is because I actually took several pairs of boots to the boot stretcher place. I don't know, I guess you call them a shoe cobbler. They do shoe repair, and so I had decided, I had purchased some boots. I guess the boot of the week is the boot that isn't here, but this will be a bonus boot, and I'll tell you about it. So the boots that I purchased are for my new team boots, and so I got them, and because I wanted a little bit taller of a boot this year. So this is a 15-inch from like here to here, and most of the boots that I've always had in the past are 13 inches from here to here. And my boots my first year were like 12 or like 11 and a half. And I was like, nope, it's gotten taller each year. There are 18-inch ones out there, and I think that's too much, but the 15, perfect. Anyways, I digress. So I had these boots, and they were like, oh, they run kind of large, so get a smaller size than usual. So I went down a size, and then I got them. But the thing is, because those boots are also 15-inch boots, you have to worry about not only the fit here in the toe box, here in the kind of bridge of the foot, around the ankle, calf, and then upper calf area, right? So you have all these different points that you have to worry about. So what I had determined is that my foot can get in there just barely, but the heel rubs, and at the top, I don't even think I have particularly chubby calves, but see how this kind of like tapers out? Those didn't as much, and so they're very slender at the top, and so they just made my calves kind of like it was not looking good. Plus I'm gonna have to wear leggings, plus I'm gonna have to wear socks, plus all the things, right? So I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be good. Plus you have to wear them a little bit to stretch them out before they get hand painted, like spray, like airbrushed. And so I was like, well, this is going to be a problem. So I was looking online for boot stretching places, and one place that was recommended by one of my boot sisters was down way far away from me. And so I called them before I drove down. Thank goodness that I did, because I called them and the lady was like, yeah, we're open Wednesday, Thursday, Fridays. That's it. So not only was I going to have to drive an hour and a half out of my way each way, but they weren't even open on the day that I was like, okay, I was like, that's not good. So I was looking online for other places. Happened to be one actually within 2 miles of me. I've never tried it before, and I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. So I took 2 pairs of boots there, because I have to have 2 pairs of boots. We have our team boots, and then we have our Seahawk boots. They get painted. So I took both my boots there, and I was like, I need help. My calves, they need help on this. And so they're like, cool, come back in 3 days and we'll see how we did. And then I came back, so I tried them yesterday, and they're way better, but still they could use some work. So they're like, okay, it'll be another couple days. And then I found out that I have to turn in my boots next Monday. So thank goodness for timing that I actually had the foresight earlier this week, like on Monday, to be like, you know what I should do? I should get my boots stretched. And that is a random happenstance that just happened to come and be good for me. But I'm not going to get them back in time to dance in them a lot, to stretch them out more. And that's one thing that they do recommend, because if you spray paint them, then and on very tight leather, they can crack after they get worn in. So all that to say, my boots are currently at the boot stretcher. And then on the day which was yesterday, I went back. You know what you know those butterfly boots that I have? I was like, oh, I should get these stretched because I love these boots, but they're too tight in all of the areas. And so I'm praying and hoping and thinking and wishing that they come back. Y'all send good thoughts out into the universe for me that those boots are going to come back stretched enough to not be uber painful, that I can just wear them and just have them be part of my happy collection. So this boot, okay, 15-inch boot. It is the one that made me realize I love the 15-inch better than the 13-inch. And I know that because this is the same boot as the purple boot down here. And that boot came in before this boot, even though I ordered them at the same time. Remember I said it was a sign from the universe that the boots that I wanted, there was a sale. And so I bought both of them. So I bought the purple boots and I bought the green boots. And so I got the purple boots in first because of the fact they were in stock and these were a custom order, and the custom orders took over 2 months to be ready to ship. So I've had those boots for 2 months longer than I've had these boots, but when I got them and wore them and stuff, I love them. But it's like, tell me if this makes any sense to you all. But the first time you wear a shoe or a boot or, maybe that new dress or, maybe your new favorite pair of jeans that you just bought or something like that, sometimes you want it to be a special occasion. You don't want it to just be like, I walked to the mailbox in them. You know what I mean? Like you want it to be an event. So I have been in my head trying to be like, what is the best time? And what's the first event that is going to be worthy of the boot? Like appearance, the first inaugural time you wear a boot, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, maybe one of the first days of auditions, because that's when I debuted like this boot, right? And it's a spectacular boot. But then I was like, maybe auditions is not the best day to like break in a brand new boot, because like you're on your feet a lot of the hours of the day, you don't know how it's going to work on the floor. And so I was like, okay, not that. And then I was like, maybe our first team practice. And then that came and went, and it was like, well, your first team practice, you should be in red, white, and black. And so I was like, oh, okay. So not that. And then I was like, well, maybe we have our boot bonding night, which is a night where we all get together and we just like chat and, all that stuff. And I was like, maybe boot bonding night. But I knew that boot bonding night was also, you have to walk across this huge gravel lot. And like, that's not the best for like leather bottoms and whatnot. And I was just like, maybe that is not the best event to break in like new boots either. And so I'm still searching, and I want it to be a good event. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I'm not sure what the best first event is. And so that may make sense to not a single person out there, but I have certain boots that I've not yet worn. So this is one of them. And I have to think about the first time I'm going to wear this boot and where I'm going to wear this boot. Same thing with the brown boot. The brown boot here with the stitching, I have not yet touched real ground whilst wearing them. And I have to think about the first time and place that those will be worn, because you can't just have like an 8-hour thing, because that's a high heel, okay? Like you can do an 8-hour in a short heel, but in that one, like, no. I mean, you could, but like you would not be happy. But like I need some sort of event, you know what I mean? So I think about that the first time that I will wear a boot a certain place and what the audience will be. I think about that kind of thing. Maybe you do not, but I think about that thing. Now, I just saw my good friend Laura in the chat, and she asked an excellent question. And she said, maybe for our boot camp social, which a boot camp social is when we have all of these boot camps across the state, and we will sometimes have an event where all the people who are taking classes, and it's open to the public too, you can all come and you dance a lot of the dances, or mostly all the dances that you learn in a boot camp class. And so that's why they call it boot camp social. Everyone's being there socially dancing. So why I would not wear them to the boot camp social, which is a great idea, and I had thought about that, was because Saturday I'm going to go and get round 2 of the boot stretched boots, and I'm going to wear the boots that are going to be my team boots, because we wear those way more than we wear the Seahawk boots. So I need those to be the most comfortable and broken in, and I am going to take them from the boot stretcher place that day and wear them that night, so they get a couple hours of boot dancing on the floor before I have to turn them in on Monday. Can you believe that? We have to turn in our boots on Monday to get them painted. So that's like the only time I'm going to have to dance on them. So that is the current plan. But otherwise, I would have totally worn the green boots. That would be a good time to do it. But yeah, I got to think. So the purple boots, the first time I wore those was at Bootstock, right? The black boot here with the skull, the first time I wore that was at Boots and Bunks. The green boot here, that's a whole part of, the boot stories. The green boot here, the first time I wore it was also at one of the audition days, okay? This one here, the first time I wore it was at the one of the boot bells practices that I was filling in and teaching at, because their colors are gold. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to do that, right? So it's a tough thing. Do you remember sometimes the first time that you wear your boots? Is that just me? So I don't know, maybe that's just me. I'm weird that way, but I try. And actually, so this pair of boots here, the Seahawk boots, this guy right here, the first time I wore these, I've only worn them once. It was at Victorian Country Christmas, and that was a mistake because they were the most slippery boot. I almost fell on my ass. And so I got off all wonky, and I ended up doing basically a solo and facing the wrong direction for the first half of the dance because I just was trying hard not to fall down on my butt. So there's that. Okay, I guess the cheese stands alone. All right, Stanley Orchard's in the house. Stanley, I'm thinking of you, right? Stanley. You're gonna have to watch the replay. The last half an hour is just me shooting the breeze and talking about this horrendous date that I had, that I left them at a dance and I went to Denny's with my friends. And bad things happen to people who aren't the same people or don't use the same voice as people are accustomed to. There was a whole reason that I told that story. It came back to a reason, okay? So I do, because I thought of you and it was New Year's. See? That's right. And you sent me the photos of you with wearing your new boots. I was so proud. I was like, look at you. Look at you wearing your boots. Yes. Heck yeah. All right. I'm going to get out of here, go eat some dinner, but glad to see everybody here tonight. Let me know comments, questions, concerns, all that you want to talk about, and we will do so. And I already have, who am I? My next 2 videos planned. Excuse me. One of them, so I don't know if I told y'all, but I, as part of my errands on Monday, took my boots and got them stretched. I had to go to open a new mailbox. Okay. So I usually use like a UPS box because I don't want to have to always give brands or, anything like that. Like in my description box, I don't want to use my personal home address. Like I just don't want to have that out there. So I always use like a UPS box. So I got a new UPS box because I now live in a new city and I don't want to have to keep going to the old place, which is a ways away. So I opened up the new box and then I updated my LLC information to use that new box. And I updated, where was I going with all of this? Anyways, so I updated that address. Now, because all of my videos currently have my old mailbox in them, I decided that I would screen record while I was using the TubeBuddy bulk find replace append type of tool. So I'll have a video showing how I was able to update my address across 700 videos descriptions in just a few minutes using that tool. So that one is going to be coming out. I also have a video that is going to be planned because of the comments that was on the last video asking for maybe some help with how to optimize your description when uploading a video. So that's also another video that I have. And then I have a third video. Who is she? Can I get a round of applause for that? And this is only going to be interesting to a few select people, but I thought it was interesting to talk about different automations that you can do for free on your computer currently for things like when you're trying to organize your footage. So I have a thing, and I found it from, I believe it was Katie Steckley, and it was like in a random one thing that she had talked about, and I like dissected it, and then I did some other research and videos to kind of like work with it. But Yeah, it's using Automator to do these tasks where you can do things like maybe you change the extension or the name or the whatever on your footage coming in from your iPhone or your devices when you're importing them, so that maybe they're all named by the date or they're named in certain types of things. So I thought that'd be kind of cool, especially if I'm doing comparison videos between photos taken between two different phones, to have like the extension of the file of what phone was taking it, and it can put it in certain places, or I can actually use it to transcode media like in a whole batch, which I thought was really cool. And then a fourth video I'm thinking of making, and you can tell me if you're interested in this, but I thought some people were interested and they had said that previously, is I'm kind of, rearranging the room and trying to get things in order. And I'm finally going to show you all the 8x8 room that I'm in, so you can see more than this wall and you can see my video setup. So you're going to see like my lights hanging from the floor, my standing desk, and how like I kind of have organized everything inside of this room that I'm in case that you're just curious, or two, gives you any ideas for being inside of a small space as well. So I'm going to be doing like my filming room setup, or my filming room tour. However you want to say that. So yeah, those are the videos that I have like planned and coming up, and I'm super excited to be making them and have you watch them. But hope you all have an excellent day and night, and I'll see you all in a video very, very soon, and I hope you have a great night. Bye y'all.